Excuse me. Let's see, I'm alive. Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, we're gonna wait for a few people to join us. And I'll try to remember to timestamp where the video starts. So those who are tuning into the recording, you can just go straight to that part instead of figuring out when we start, since we're waiting for people to join in. But yes, definitely say hey so I can know who's joining in. I see a few people are coming in. Okay. And we are going to talk about increasing our milk supply today, along with any other questions that you may have that's going on with you or your little ones. If you're pregnant, if you have questions, all of that good stuff. And, oh, wait, let me see. Don't forget to enter in your zip code, because then it'll enter you into the raffle of who won today for attending the meeting. Very good. So yes, increasing milk supply. That's what we'll be talking about today, as we have a few more people join us. Let's see. All right, I'm looking at the comments, but I'm not seeing anything. So if you're here, say something so I can make sure I'm able to see it and that you're able to see and to hear me. Let me see. Okay, let's see. There we go. To request. Should put some music on while we wait for people. Help the time go by a little bit. Some dead air. Okay, so we'll probably get started. Or I'll say my little spiel about increasing your milk supply and how we can do that and what works and what doesn't work. Some myths versus some facts. And we can ask some questions. You all can ask questions afterwards or during it. But definitely, if you showed up to the meeting, even if it's for 5 minutes or for the whole time, enter in your zip code, because you'll be entered in to a $25 raffle. And that's just basically us saying thank you for showing up. And it helps us to keep track of who's able to see and the meetings, and to keep track of the neighborhoods that we're still supporting, even though we're doing it all virtually. So yeah. Okay, yes, if you can say hey once you come into the chat, let me know so I can make sure my chat box is working. Yes. All right. I think I saw my text, so I should be able to see the comments. I just typed something. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for putting that in there. Okay, so we'll wait about 3 more minutes or so. Yeah, we'll wait until about 5:38. Hey Tirza, that's so funny. You are funny. That's a friend of mine joining in on one of my lives. She's the best. So we'll get started soon, and like I said, you should be able to see it in the title of this video. We're going to be talking about increasing your milk supply. So safe ways to do it, what works, what doesn't work, and all of that stuff. And yes, Tirsa is a fellow nurser of 5, so she could do this. She can be where I'm at right now. Yeah. Oh, wait. I'm excited. I got my notes. Here they are. Yes. So don't forget, all throughout this live, if you have any questions, please post them. I'll take a look back through the comments and see if I missed anybody. And we'll answer those questions for you. It'll work out. Since we can't meet up in person, you know, we try to make sure we get to everybody as often as we can and make sure all of your breastfeeding and even just parenting questions get answered. I'm looking forward to the days we can come back together again. I miss our meetups. Okay. All right. So, for the sake of your time, of those who joined early, I don't want to wait any longer. Right before I get started, if you are just tuning in, because I see the numbers kind of going up and down, so I'm not too sure who's coming in and out of the live feed, but enter in your zip code. You'll be entered in to win a $25 raffle just for showing up, and you don't have to stay the whole time. If you just come in for a moment, you are still considered to be entered into that raffle. So do that. And yes, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. And please ask questions as I'm talking. Sometimes I know so many things, I forget small details. So if I'm leaving something out, or if you have a question, ask, okay? Don't hesitate to do that. So, increasing milk supply is a huge concern amongst so many mamas, rightfully so. I mean, if you know someone who formula fed their baby, or a mom who even was just an exclusive pumper, they were able to see all the time how much their baby is getting, right? So you're able to be like, okay, my baby's getting 2 ounces every time I feed them. Is it messing up only for me? Is anyone having issues? Can everyone hear me and see me okay? Let me see. If you can't, just let me know. But if you can, maybe press 1. I don't know. Press 1 if you can hear me and see me okay. Hopefully it's not you, Tirza. I want you to be able to hear me. Let's see. If you can hear me and see me, okay. Kirsten says she can hear and see me. Or, yeah. Tirza, if you can hear this, just maybe log out and log back in. That's as far as my tech expertise goes. Thank you. That's as far as my tech expertise goes. Like, if something doesn't work, I just shut it down and turn it back on. Okay, so I think it's just Tirza then. Okay, so as I was saying, so when you see a mama feeding their baby through a bottle, it's just so obvious to be like, okay, that baby is this days old or this many months old, and I can see exactly what that baby is getting. So when you decide to exclusively breastfeed, it can be a little daunting, or you know, it makes you a little anxious to think like, is my baby getting enough? Am I feeding my baby enough? Am I producing enough? And all of those questions are legit. So I'm gonna try to help you all answer those questions today. So the number one key to making a very efficient milk supply is to nurse your baby. And I know that sounds so simple and it sounds like that's it. No, really. That is it. A newborn baby, for instance, needs to typically have between 10 to 12 feedings a day. And that kind of rounds off between every 2 to 3 hours. So you'll hear 10 to 12 feedings or every 2 to 3 hours. Both of those are correct, but that's how many times a day on average a baby will nurse. Some will nurse a lot more, and that's okay too. But when your baby is feeding that frequently, that's telling your body, you know, getting all sciencey and nerdy on y'all, is telling your body to produce more milk, right? And there's these two special hormones called prolactin and oh my goodness, prolactin moves the milk. I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry y'all, but there's these two hormones that you use to make milk and to move milk. So the more you nurse, the more your body knows to produce more milk. So I'll be like, oh, okay, Ebony, she's nursing her 10 times a day, her baby still needs milk. But when you begin to nurse less, and even sometimes even pump more and nurse less, that's kind of telling your body that you don't need to produce as much milk. So sometimes you'll see those decreases in milk if a mom just chooses to pump here and there. So you'll think you're pumping enough, but you still need that baby at the breast to a lot of times keep up with your milk supply. So yes, simply nursing your baby is honestly the best way to keep up with your milk supply. The next best way is hand expression. Hand expression is the next best way to keep up with your milk supply. And we have a video that all the admin recommend everyone to see if you don't know how to hand express. But once you get it down, you will be able to produce a lot. Most times moms will say, I get more milk when I hand express versus when I'm pumping. And if any of you can attest to that, share that in the comments, because I went on a trip last year away from my baby. Now granted, he was over a year, but he was still nursing very frequently. So I tried to pump enough to keep up with his routine. And mind you, it was just a weekend, so I didn't think to bring a hand pump or a pump, because I'm like, it'll be fine. My body said, no, you're nursing frequently enough for us to still make enough milk. So I didn't get engorged, but my breast felt very heavy. So I'm in a hotel room. I grabbed me a glass from the little, bar that they have set up for you near the coffee maker, and I hand expressed. And I'm telling you, I was like, I should have just hand expressed before I went on this trip, because I was able to produce so much more milk than when I was at home. So hand expressing is another great way to help maintain and to increase your milk supply versus using a pump. Yes, so after keeping up with your baby, nursing frequently is number one. Looking for those hunger cues, making sure that you're getting your baby to the breast before he or she is too irate. Looking for those hunger cues, feeding your baby is number one, and then trying hand expression is number two, and then we would suggest to use a pump. Now, using a pump there's some tricks to increasing your milk supply when using a pump. So many of you probably have heard of the power pumping method. Yes. A lot of moms will be like, oh, power pump. And it is a great way to do that. So basically what you do with power pumping, you do it for about 2 days only. You don't need to do it more than 2 days. And you would pump for about, you can pump for 5 minutes and then pause for 5 minutes and pump for 5 minutes. Or I've heard people even pump for about 10 minutes and then take another break and then pump for another 10 minutes. So you'll see a few different charts out there. But the point of power pumping is to stimulate a growth spurt. So what a growth spurt is when a baby is growing. It's at the age where it's about to grow. I always notice my babies are on a growth spurt when they sleep more. I just know, but I'm pregnant with my 6th child, if you don't know. So, and I breastfed all 5 of my other ones. And I've just noticed over the years when they sleep, I'm like, oh, somebody's growing. They about to wake up and do some, look bigger. They about to just look bigger. So when they go through these growth spurts, in my observation, they sleep more, but then they also nurse more too. They tend to want to be closer to you, want to cuddle more, a little bit more fussier, and you'll just nurse more. So that's what power pumping is to mimic, is to just that constant nursing, and to almost trick your body into thinking that, you know, your baby's going through a growth spurt. But another way to increase your milk supply with a pump is to use both sides of an electric pump. So if you have an electric pump, they typically have those two flanges that you can set up. Now, I didn't know this with my first two. Actually, I didn't know this with my first three. And I always pumped on one side. I just pumped on one side. Once it was done, then I'll go to the other side. Just pumping with two just seemed difficult, but I didn't see any benefit to it, so no one told me not to do it or to do it, so I made my own decision. But if you're trying to increase your milk supply, pumping on both sides at the same time really helps to increase your milk supply. So we talked about how power pumping kind of tricks your body into thinking your baby's going through a growth spurt, but pumping on both sides tricks your body into thinking you have twins. It's really cool. So when you have twins, moms that do have twins and that decide to breastfeed, they'll usually nurse their babies at the same time, and it's so cool. Oh my goodness, the videos are amazing. Things I just don't think about because I've never had twins, but they'll nurse them on both sides at the same time. And that's what pumping on both sides will do. Will mimic that. So then your body will be like, oh, she needs even more milk. So let's, you know, let the body produce more milk. Let's see. Yes, so another way to use your pump too is to nurse your baby on one side and then to pump while your baby is nursing. So that will kind of help as well with increasing your milk supply. So yes, so we have nursing frequently, meaning nursing as often as possible to maintain and to increase your milk supply. Then we have hand expression. Hand expression is an excellent way for you to stimulate your breasts and to for your body to know to make and to move more milk. And then we have pumping. We have power pumping, double pumping, and pumping when you're nursing, while you're nursing. So those are top 3 ways to do that. But then the questions come into about, well, what about oatmeal, right? Can I eat oatmeal to increase my milk supply? My girlfriend told me she ate all this oatmeal and now she got too much milk. Or what about fenugreek, right? And there's all these lactation cookies and Body Armor. Now, a lot of those things, like I mentioned, oatmeal, drinking lots of water is another one. Body Armor, lactation cookies, when it gets down to the main factor of it all, it comes down to like nutrition, right? So if you're saying that Body Armor helped to increase your milk supply, chances are you were dehydrated, right? So it helps. So dehydration, right, can cause fatigue. It can cause, you know, just fuzziness of the brain. Like when you're not yourself, when you're not all together, a lot of things just won't work well. That's like with oatmeal, right? Oatmeal is a great food to have. I think all people, pregnant, not pregnant, lactating, not lactating, should eat for the benefits of oatmeal and other herbs, things like that. But to say specifically that those things will increase your milk supply, is not always true. It's just not always true. So one of the reasons why we don't recommend it just as a blatant statement across the board is because using fenugreek, for example, could be potentially harmful to a mom. Fenugreek has been known to reduce absorption of any medications being used. So if you are breastfeeding and you're on a certain medication, if you use it with taking fenugreek in results of trying to increase your milk supply, it can have like an adverse effect with your other meds. So before we can suggest something like fenugreek, we would have to make sure that we have like a really clear medical history of a person, because it could be potentially very dangerous for them. But fenugreek has also been known to worsen asthma, cause diarrhea, and have maple smelling urine and perspiration. Yeah. Oh yeah, you didn't know that. Yeah, and no, it's a lot of things that we don't really know, even though it can be good for you. You just have to be cautious of things like that. So we have to be very careful when we're suggesting fenugreek to each other. And also, there are concerns about a decrease in blood coagulation and decrease serum glucose levels. Yes. Okay, so Tirsa says she takes meds, so that's very important information for her to know. Right. So just in the group, like, you know, if you see in one of the admin or just someone else saying that, you know, fenugreek or suggesting herbs just as a, you know, if someone just says, I want to increase my milk supply, and someone says, take fenugreek, that's how we're kind of like, don't suggest that right away, because we don't know the full history of that mom, you know. And, you know, going back to what I said, increasing your milk supply, just nurse more. You know, a lot of times it can just be a simple solution of just finding that optimal position, making sure you've got the best position for you and baby, hand expressing and pumping. You know, those are the safest things. And then if a mom or if you are still having issues, or you think that you still aren't producing enough, you can contact us personally, and then we can kind of, well, we will go through a thorough health history of yours, and then we can give you a better, put you in a better direction as to what you can do. Because a lot of times we can observe a feeding and be like, oh, okay, like I see what's going on. Like it might be something as simple as moving your arm or placing your hand somewhere else. So it's not always, doesn't always need to be an outside source, or as they call an artificial source of using lactation cookies or body armor or drinking more water. Those are just all myths. But yes, I wanted to add something else. Yes. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about that? About how the best ways to increase your milk supply? Because I wanted to show you all something. Hopefully I can bring it up on my phone big enough and everyone can see it. Because I wanted to show you the sizes of a baby's belly. And I doubt you'll be able to see it. I'm just going to shoot my shot. I'm going to shoot my shot. Is it backwards? It might be backwards. And it's not clear. Okay. Forget that. I'm going to read it. So, go ahead and ask your question, Tirza. And I'm going to just talk about the size of a newborn baby's stomach, and I will gladly answer it. So, when a newborn is 1 day old, their stomach is the size of a cherry. My favorite fruit, a cherry. That little teeny tiny belly. So that means your baby will need about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half at each feeding. Okay. When your baby is about 3 days old, their stomach is now the size of a walnut. And they will need about 3/4 to an ounce. 3/4 of an ounce to an ounce of milk at every feeding. And then at 1 week old, your baby's stomach is the size of an apricot. And if you've seen apricots or if you like them, those are still not that big. They are typically smaller than a plum. And your baby will need about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of milk at each feeding. And then when your baby is 2 weeks old, their belly is the size of an egg. And that will require 2.5 to 5 ounces per feeding. So Teresa's question is, does soft breast mean there's not a lot of milk inside? Sometimes the only reason I know my baby is getting milk is it spits out of his mouth after nursing. So there's not a lot of milk inside. So not necessarily. So if you're feeding your baby frequently, like we mentioned before, to keep up, to maintain a milk supply, your milk, spills. Okay, got it. It spills out of his mouth. Got it. If you're keeping up with the feedings and you're nursing, this newborn all the way up to, about 3, 4, 5 months, frequently, your breast will never really get full. They won't feel heavy. They won't get heavy because you're constantly draining them, and your breast isn't truly drained. I'm using that for an example of your baby's getting what they need in that session, so your breast won't feel heavy. Now, if you're skipping feedings, or for whatever reason you're missing feedings, that's when you'll start to feel that your breast gets a little heavy. And I see a lot of times when moms say, oh, it's time for me to feed my baby because, oh, it's been a while. We're not looking at the clock. It's it's time for you to nurse now. I feel a little heavy. Then you may experience that heaviness. But soft breast doesn't always equate to not enough milk. So another way we love to ensure you mamas, and I've been insured with this method, is weight checks. It's great to keep up with your baby's pediatric appointments. And especially if you're exclusively breastfeeding, you always, at least at my appointments, they always show you these charts of how well your baby is growing. And that has always been reassuring to me. And also your dirty and wet diapers. So between your baby being a newborn, on that first day, you'll get, at least 1 dirty diaper. And then the second day, you get 2 dirty diapers. And then the third day, 3 dirty diapers. Hi, Simone. And fourth day, 4 dirty diapers, and, so on with that. That's always reassuring to us who are trying to help you to figure out if there is an issue with your milk supply. So weight checks and checking for, those dirty diapers and that urine output, making sure that your babies are doing that. So that was a great question. Soft breast doesn't always equal a lack of milk supply. And then you also mentioned, I know baby is getting milk because he spits it out after nursing. Speaking of, I have bibs for you. So, I'll be bringing you bibs. But, spitting up after feedings also is completely normal. And y'all don't even know. Let me go back. Teresa and her darn baby. Every time I see her and her baby, that baby is doing some kind of spitting up. And I'm like, I never needed a bib for my other babies. Well, you need a bib for this one. And I'm bringing it next time I see you. But I spoiled the surprise. I wanted to surprise you. So you better not go and get none. But, spitting up after feeding is completely normal. Once again, check, weight checks, dirty and wet diapers is usually a great sign that your baby is getting enough and that you're doing enough and that you're doing great, that you're doing awesome. So, that is, that's pretty much my spiel on increasing your milk supply. I know there was something else I wanted to add. And keep asking questions if you have any. Okay, so things that could possibly decrease your milk supply. You are nursing as frequently as you can. You're doing hand expression. You've tried double pumping and pumping while nursing. But there might be these are some potential things that we as CLCs, because I'm a certified lactation counselor now. Just want to throw that out there. Anyways, but there might be some things that might honestly cause your milk to decrease. So one of the things is a breastfeeding mom using tobacco cigarettes. That has been scientifically proven to restrict milk flow in mothers, and this is not me saying that a mom who smokes cigarettes cannot breastfeed. That is not true. What I am saying is there could be some potential lactation issues with that, and you may need to supplement. But you can still breastfeed and enjoy those wonderful benefits of breastfeeding and bonding with your baby. But babies who or mothers who smoke tend to have fussier babies, fussier than other non-smoking babies. And mothers who smoke tend to nurse for fewer months than non-smokers. And you know, when you begin to not nurse as much, that is basically you volunteering for weaning. You're basically involuntarily weaning, I should say, when you're not nursing as frequently. And mothers who smoke make less milk than non-smokers due to the lower prolactin levels. So those two hormones I was telling you about, I don't know why my brain is like, I'm gonna Google it real quick. But prolactin is one of the hormones, and prolactin makes milk, and when you smoke, you decrease your prolactin levels in making more milk. Hormones. I'm sorry, y'all. Oxytocin. I knew that. Oxytocin is the other hormone. Oxytocin moves the milk. Prolactin makes the milk. I know that. But so mothers who smoke, those are genuine concerns. If you are a smoker, then that is a reason to look out for your milk supply. Mothers who take over-the-counter medicines or prescriptions, they sometimes have some issues. Not all the time. Once again, this is not me saying that you cannot be a mother who is taking over-the-counter medicine or prescribed medications and you cannot breastfeed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is those women sometimes have an issue with their milk supply. Once again, I just want to say those are like, there's legitimate reasons why someone may have low milk supply or produce a little bit of milk or need help increasing their milk. And then there's sometimes moms who just want to know what they're producing and they want to make sure they're doing the best for their babies. So if you aren't smoking and you aren't having prescribed medications or taking over-the-counter medications, and you're nursing frequently, you're hand expressing and using those pumping methods I told you, you'll be fine. You'll be all right. Yes. So mothers who take over-the-counter medicines sometimes show signs of lower changes in their milk supply. And one more thing. Let me see. And mothers who take ill during breastfeeding. So mothers who take ill sometimes have a change in their milk supply. Oh, and mothers who are pregnant. Duh, I knew that. Mothers who are pregnant. If you are nursing your baby and you find out you're pregnant, many women have to, depending on the age of your baby and your body and what's going on, sometimes force wean their babies because they just don't feel the milk that's there anymore. Your body is now preparing for a baby, and that's completely normal. But there's other moms like me whose babies don't care. I want to continue to nurse, and will nurse through pregnancies. I've been pregnant twice while still breastfeeding a child, and I never had to stop breastfeeding. My children just didn't care. I force weaned my other one. I'm like, I am not tandem nursing. Tandem nursing is just nursing two different babies, not from the same birth, not twins, two different babies at the same time. I was like, I'm not tandem nursing. But I am nursing right now, my 2-year-old, and it seems very likely that he will still be nursing because he's such a sweetheart and I can't tell him no. So Teresa says, I was one of them, but I didn't have support 11 years ago. So you're one of those moms who didn't think they were making enough and you stopped breastfeeding? I don't want to assume that's what you mean, but I feel like that's what you might be saying. Just confirm that for me. Because yeah, that's like the beautiful thing about this circle is that we do try our best to debunk any of those myths. And yeah, okay, so you stopped nursing while you were pregnant. Yeah, right, exactly. No, it happens. It completely happens. I did too. Look, I knew. Oh, yes, the sore nipples. Thank you. Good point. When you when you are pregnant, your nipples do get sore, and even if something's there and your baby's not even phased, man, I'm pushing myself through them sore nipples. Yeah, yes. Sore nipple lady right here. Like so I feel like my nipples were a little bit more sore during the first trimester, maybe into the second, and then he kept nursing, and I don't know, because he was on the verge of weaning. We're doing a lot of baby-led weaning that we talked about in the last video with Ayana. She was talking about weaning. So we did some baby-led weaning, and I hear somebody coming up the steps. We'll see how this goes. And so, I don't offer it at all, actually. I try not to offer it. Let me stop. Because sometimes we're in public and I just can't. Like, boy, do you want a nurse? But most of the time I don't offer. And he won't go on. It'll go a whole week would go by and he wouldn't nurse. And then I found out I was pregnant. And then, he would want to nurse here and there. He never seemed too bothered by it. There were times when he would nurse for about 10 seconds. And I can see it so clearly in my head. He would just come off and kind of look, like literally look at my nipple and be like, something ain't right. Something's different. I'm sorry, it's just so funny. But he pushed through it. But my nipples tend to be a lot more sore in the beginning. But now, like, he literally nursed earlier. And I'm in my last trimester. 12 weeks to go. Can't believe it. I'm in my last trimester now. And he doesn't seem phased by it. He goes to sleep like he used to when he was little. And I'm not phased by it. So, and I tell my, and I told my midwife about it, and they said as long as we're both comfortable, it's fine. I should have nothing to worry about with a lot of people's questions are, what about your uterus? Like, isn't it still contracting? Isn't that harmful to the baby? They said I'm fine. Everything is fine. And yes, there are some women who have like some previous health concerns that you definitely want to tell your doctor or your midwife if you're still nursing during a pregnancy, because it can be dangerous for some women. So definitely tell your doctor if you are one of those people who have any pre-existing pregnancy or laboring issues. Okay. Yes. So I don't know. I don't see any other questions. I hope I answered all those questions about increasing your milk supply, and you all are more confident in knowing that you are enough. You don't need anything on the outside. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean your baby's not gaining well. Take a look at their growth chart and their dirty and wet diapers and their temperaments. You know, they're not fussing a lot and they're not constantly showing those hunger cues. You're doing great. I promise. I promise you're doing great. And we as peer champions and CLCs are here for you, so you can always reach out to us privately if you have any questions. And yeah, we'll help you get all of your questions answered, and hopefully put a lot of you at ease so you're not overthinking or second guessing yourself, because you can do it. I promise. You can do it. Yes. I saw Shauna was in here. I don't know if she's still in here. But hey, Shauna. You are most certainly welcome, Tirta. Thanks for joining in on my first one. I'm so nervous. I always get so nervous on these things. Always. But I prefer face-to-face. It's so much easier. Then I don't just hear my voice all the time. Your mamas can talk in and chime in with the other moms. Yeah, so if there are no more questions, we can go ahead and end a little early. But I will stick around online for at least the remainder of my time, for about 30 more minutes, because I don't want to leave you guys out to dry. I know a lot of moms getting off of work and things like that. So I'll be in the Facebook group to answer any of your questions. If you want to private message me, I'm Ebony Jackson. I don't even think I formally introduced myself, but I'm the one doing the live, so you see my name. But you can message me, Ngazi, Kelly, Leah, Ayana, Lauren. We're all here for you guys to answer some of those questions. And yeah, so let's see. Okay. All right, well, I'm not seeing any more questions. I'll hang out a little bit more in the chat, and I'll see you guys on the other side. And post a comment or submit a post if you have any questions, and somebody in the group will definitely get back to you. Okay, so have a beautiful night. And once the meetings are posted again, we're working on getting the October meetings up. Once they're up, check back in the group and we will update you guys. Thank you, Simone. Have a good night, and thank you all for tuning in. Okay, bye.